What's up, guys? My name is Ace, and Season 3 is now here for Apex Legends. I realize I'm a Call of Duty channel, but I also really have enjoyed Apex Legends in the past, although the hype for it really just died for me, and I haven't even touched it for quite a long time. But now Season 3 is here, there is a brand new map, a new legend, as well as a bunch of changes made to the game, and this is definitely enough to bring me back, at least for a while. This is something that I feel will kind of hold me over until Modern Warfare launches. So I thought you guys might appreciate an update video on what has changed and what's been added with Season 3 for Apex Legends. So the first thing, and this is a massive thing, there is a brand new map. King's Canyon, which is the map that we've had since launch, although it did also change a little bit over time, that map is gone, at least for now. It will probably return in the future in some form, but we now have a completely brand new map called World's Edge. Here's the overview of the map if you guys want to check out the overall layout. And also, just a cherry on top, a user on Reddit already went through and found all of the different loot tables for the different areas on this map, so I'll put that up on screen there, as well as a link to that original post down below. All credit on that one goes to Scripps GSO on Reddit. And so far, based on my very limited experience, I'm really enjoying this map. I like the fact that there's some snowy areas, there's a lot of variety in the scenery and everything like that. And it's just nice to have a totally different environment to be fighting into. It feels like it's really a brand new experience within Apex Legends, which is the biggest change we've seen since launch. So that's the main thing that's really got me coming back to Apex Legends and enjoying myself quite a bit. There is a lot of new stuff to learn with this brand new map. But in addition to that, we also got a brand new legend, and his name is Crypto. And for him, his tactical ability is a surveillance drone that you can call in and you fly that around to find enemies. And his passive ability is Neuralink, which means him and his teammates will see what his surveillance drone detects up to a 30-meter distance. So it's great for use as a reconnaissance tool. You don't have to actually peek your head up. You can just fly this drone around and find enemy teams. Additionally, something that you may not know about this drone, you can actually collect teammates' banners. When they go down, you can collect their banners with this drone. So you don't even need to get there yourself. You just fly your drone over, collect a teammate's banner, and then you can revive them safely. As for his ultimate, this is the Drone EMP. So with this one, you can fly your drone over enemies or enemy traps, and you set this EMP off, which will destroy all traps within the radius. It will also slow enemy players down that are within that radius, and it will deal 50 shield damage to those enemies, which is a great leg up going into a fight. This is best used if you have enemies that are just over a ridge, or they're really stuck behind some cover, for instance, and you just can't seem to root them out of there. Hit them with this EMP, it'll damage their shields, slow them down, and then you and your teammates can push in and clean them up. The next big thing with this update is a brand new gun, and this is the Charge Rifle, which is in the sniper rifle category. And with this one, it is an energy rifle, and it takes a second to warm up, and as it's warming up and charging up to the big shot, you can actually do a small amount of damage during that charge time, as long as you're aimed on your enemy at that point. But the big burst of damage, that comes after a couple seconds of charging that gun up. This I found can be a little bit on the inconsistent side, but if you're accurate with your shot and you can stay on target during the charge as well as the big boom, you can put enemies down very, very quickly with this. I would consider this to be sort of a high risk, high reward sort of a weapon. Just in case you're curious about this, this was added as a regular gun. You don't have to get it in one of the drops, for instance. It's just a normal gun that you'll find spawning, just like most of the other guns in the game. Moving on to the next thing I wanted to cover, this is the Battle Pass tiers. This time around, there are some really awesome items, at least in my opinion, within this Battle Pass, which is great to see. I always think back to the Season 1 rewards, and I was just so disappointed in those rewards. That was actually the point where I just started losing interest in the game. But they've really turned things around in this area. There are some great rewards. I'm just going to scroll through them in the background of the video here while I talk about other stuff so you guys can see all of the different things that you'll see within these tiers. And with that, I want to get into some notable gameplay changes. There are more changes than just what I'm talking about, as well as like bug fixes and stuff like that. And of course, if you want to check all of those out in great detail, I will leave a link to the patch notes in the description below. But I mainly want to just focus on the ones that I feel will actually affect gameplay overall, and the ones that I'm most interested in. The first change is the Executioner perk is now built in for everyone all the time. And the Executioner perk was the perk that you used to have on the Golden Armor, where when you do a finishing move on an enemy player, it would fill up your shield. This now applies all the time. Doesn't matter which body shield you have on there, if you do a finisher on an enemy player, it will fully replenish your shields all the time. And I think this is great. I think that makes sense. It's definitely a risk to be doing these finishers in a lot of situations, and therefore it might actually be worthwhile to go for it and risk it to try and get one of those finishers done, rather than using up all of your shield cells or shield batteries. As for changes to the individual legends, Gibraltar got some buffs and some adjustments overall. First off, the Dome Shield got a pretty big buff. Now, for any friendly player that's within a Gibraltar Dome Shield, they will be able to use their healing items 25% faster, which is awesome to see, and there's actually some more incentive to go and use that Dome Shield. Additionally, you can now throw those Dome Shields about 60% further, but to keep all of that balanced, they did increase the cooldown time from 20 seconds up to 30 seconds, so it will take a bit longer to charge those up. As for Gibraltar's ultimate, the Bombardment, they decreased the cooldown time from 4.5 minutes to 3 minutes, so you'll be earning that quite a few times throughout a match now, which is great to see. But to keep that balanced, they did decrease the duration of this from 8 seconds down to 6 seconds, and also they increased the throw distance a bit. Moving on to Bloodhound, for his tactical ability, the Eye of the Allfather, they have reduced the animation time by 33%, so you can just pop that a little bit faster, and it will also immediately tell you how many targets have been pinged when you activate this. As for his ultimate, Beast of the Hunt, with this one they also reduce the animation time by 30%, and also they increase the movement speed bonus that you get when this is active from 25% up to 30%. As for Bangalore, her Rolling Thunder, which is her ultimate, that has increased damage now from 20 up to 40, which seems to be quite powerful. I haven't given it a shot yet since this update came, but that sounds like it's a pretty big buff to Rolling Thunder. And the last notable change that I'm going to be discussing in this video is to Pathfinder. They slowed down the grapple projectile speed for Pathfinder, so it takes a little bit longer for the grapple to reach its target. However, everything aside from that will behave exactly the same. Additionally, they did nerf Pathfinder's zipline. They increased the cooldown from 90 seconds up to 120 seconds, so you won't be getting those ziplines quite as often throughout a match. As for some other notable changes outside of the Legends, this is more like weapons and hop-up changes. First off, they've removed 2 of the hop-ups, Disruptor rounds as well as Skull Piercer rifling, and that's quite interesting to see, but to compensate for the removal of Skull Piercer to make it so the Wingman and DMR aren't completely useless, they did buff the base headshot multiplier from 2 up to 2.15, which is kind of meeting in the middle a little bit from where Skull Piercer was. Now, with the removal of those 2 hop-ups, they actually added 2 new hop-ups as well. The first one is Anvil Receiver, which is for the Flatline and the R301, and this one makes it so when you swap to semi-auto mode for these, it offers highly increased damage per shot, but it comes at the cost of reduced rate of fire, and also each time you pull the trigger, you will be losing 2 rounds of ammunition rather than just 1. As for the other one, this one is called Double Tap Trigger, and this is for the G7 Scout and the EVA 8 Auto, and this one effectively turns these guns into a 2-round burst, which is quite interesting to see. As for ultimate accelerants, these got a little bit of a buff. Now they restore 35% of your ultimate charge rather than just 20%, so that's a pretty big buff to the ultimate accelerants. And finally, a big buff came to Golden Armor. Previously, Golden Armor would give you that Executioner perk, which, like I said, now everybody has that active all the time. So instead, what it does now is it actually stole the perk from the Gold Backpack. This means it takes half as long to use consumable items, like your healing items, for instance. It takes you half as long when you have that Gold Armor equipped, which is great for gameplay balance as well, because when you see an enemy that has Gold Armor, now you know that they're able to heal up faster, whereas before, you couldn't really see if they had a Golden Backpack on. What does this mean for the Golden Backpack, though? Well, it did lose that perk, so it no longer has that fast use perk, and instead it has a new perk called Guardian Angel, which with this one, when you revive a downed teammate, they will end up coming back with bonus health and shields if they have armor. And overall, I think that's great. I'm really happy with those changes. I'm glad to see that Golden Armor actually really means something now, because previously, Golden versus Purple Armor, there really wasn't that much of a difference. And now, Gold Armor is going to be a very highly sought after item. This just brings us to some of the weapon balancing. I'm not going to go into these in really great detail. Like I said, if you want to see the details, go check out the patch notes down below. I'm just going to tell you if it was generally a buff or a nerf. The R99 SMG got a nerf to its magazine capacity when using the extended mag attachments on there, so you won't get quite as many bonus rounds with extended mags on. And they also added a little bit of recoil to that. For the Prowler, they added some recoil to the full auto mode, so it's going to have a bit more randomness in its recoil when using it in full auto, although that shouldn't affect the standard burst mode at all. The Longbow DMR actually got a nerf to its fire rate as well as its leg damage multiplier, which is quite surprising to see from a console player's perspective. I could maybe understand that on PC, but the Longbow definitely got a nerf with this update. The G7 Scout got a buff, which is awesome to see. I really liked the G7 Scout before this buff, and I'm gonna like it even more now. It used to deal a base damage of 30, now it deals 34 base damage, which is great. The Hemlock also got a base damage increase from 18 to 22, but the trade-off for that is it also got a slight decrease to its rate of fire in both fire modes, whether it's full auto or semi-auto. As for the Mozambique, it got a little bit of love here. They decreased the pattern spread on the Mozambique, so it should be a bit more consistent at hitting all 3 pellets. And also, it now has a faster center speed, so it will return back to center faster, which will allow you to get back on target sooner to get that second shot off more accurately. And finally, the L-Star got a substantial reduction to horizontal recoil, and it will now come equipped by default with a 1x digital threat optic. But the trade-off for that is they have reduced its damage from 21 down to 19. So that's pretty much it for the weapon balancing changes, but there's one more quality of life thing that I really like that they added with Season 3, and this is they added an in-game callout, and this is one of those automatic callouts, like you'll just hear the characters talking in the background. You don't have to activate this manually. When you or your teammates start getting third-partied, so if you're in a fight with one team and then another team deals damage to one of your teammates, the characters on your team will have a callout that's letting you know that you're being attacked by another team. And this is an awesome feature that they're adding. That's a huge complaint that a lot of people have with Apex Legends, is it feels like you're constantly just getting third-partied, and therefore it's actually scary to ever get into a fight, not because you're scared of that fight, but you're scared of what's going to come immediately after that fight. And this little callout is going to help a little bit with your awareness when a third party comes in to try and clean you up. But with that, that's pretty much everything I wanted to mention in this video. I was very pleasantly surprised with Season 3. I have not been keeping up with any of the Apex news for quite some time. I haven't played in a very long time, which is why the gameplay you're watching in the background probably isn't the greatest. But yeah, like I said, this has definitely brought me back into Apex, at least for a little while, and I think this is going to be a great game to tide me over until Modern Warfare launches. Of course, that's just my opinion though. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are you guys thinking about this big update to Apex Legends? If you're somebody that hasn't been playing Apex for a while, was this enough to bring you back? And if you haven't given Apex Legends a shot, I definitely recommend hopping in and giving it a go. It's free to play, you just might enjoy yourself with it. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.